and welcome to the Beauty is Found Within podcast, hosted by the beautiful Pippa Leslie. Pippa will be speaking about hers, others' spiritual stories, perspectives, and journeys, so we can in turn find the right match of resonance that speaks to our heart and souls. Each week, she will be sharing topics around spirituality, manifestation, mindset, self-love, and personal growth, as well as personal interviews with our fellow soul family and friends.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Beauty is Found Within podcast. I am super excited to chat to Elaine today because she is in one of the places that I really want to visit. She is in Maui in Hawaii. She is a fertility shaman, and I can't wait to talk to her today about her expertise, and she has a beautiful energy. So hi Elaine.
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much.
I'm really good.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So I'm so intrigued. I know we spoke before on the phone, but I'm so intrigued about what you do and how beautiful it is, the things that you do for people. So just introduce yourself to the listeners and tell them a little bit about what you do.
Sure, thank you. I am a fertility shaman, and what that means is I help women that are struggling to conceive, that have been trying to get pregnant and have not been successful, or maybe have had any type of pregnancy loss. Helping them to really look at the deeper reasons of why they might not be able to get pregnant, and then help them to finally get pregnant and hold their baby in their arms.
It's so beautiful. Like, it just makes me feel so it's just because I'm such a nurturing soul. I really connect to that. I just think it's beautiful because that is a lady losing their baby is probably one of the most traumatic things that she can ever do. So what kind of things do you do to help them through something so traumatic?
Yeah, thank you. And it is very traumatic. And, I got started doing this work because of my own pregnancy loss. And it's really hard to understand unless you've been through it. So the way that I help is, with the shamanic healing and the energy healing, everything is energy. So we just look deeper into, what energy is remaining in their body, what kind of trauma is has been imprinted in their womb space, and how can we release that to help them to receive a baby into that space with peace and with ease and with joy. So it's just looking at all of the energy that has been kind of stuck and, like I said, imprinted in their field and in their womb space, and just releasing that and, going beyond what most people look at and what most people talk about, right? And that's one of the things I love about the shamanic healing is we do get beyond what most people know about, and looking at all aspects of that emotional and spiritual energy.
Yeah, I have a few friends who do shaman, well, they are shamanic healers, and it really interests me because, like you said, it goes to deeper levels. It really it's not surface level, because that kind of doesn't really serve us that much, going deeper. Especially, we've just been talking to a friend today, and we were talking about, going through traumatic times, whether it is having a miscarriage, whether it is a sexual harassment or a sexual assault. And I have been through that myself. I was sexually assaulted when I was younger, and I was so ashamed of that. Being a 20-year-old, it would just seem to be not a normal thing to go through, and I pushed it so far deep into my soul. It came up about 3 months ago. My parents were clearing out my old bedroom because I moved out 3 years ago, and they just gave me a box full of papers, and they said, "Pip, go and sort all your stuff out. We're having a clear out." And the sexual assault report was right at the bottom of the box, and it was like it was such a strange thing to explain, but basically it was like it not happened to me because I'd just forgotten about it. And I pushed it so far away from me and not actually sat with it and realized how much, it was a traumatic event. I actually relived it that night, and, I did a big ritual, and it was around the full moon energy as well. So I did a big ritual healing, and I really released it. But I can kind of understand, anyone listening, Elaine, like obviously I know you're a shamanic healer, is what I'm feeling called to kind of get this episode around is anyone suffering right now, whether it is around miscarriages or whatever it is that you're going through, what are the ways that they can do, with your help and without your help to, start the healing process through that traumatic time or that suffering that they're going through?
Yeah, thank you. And like you, so many people, I mean, I did the same thing with my pregnancy loss. I just stuffed everything away. I feel like so many people, that's what we do, right? We don't have really good coping mechanisms of how to deal with traumatic events. And so, before I go on, I want to say good for you for looking at it and being able to, like, do this ritual that helped you to release it. Doing rituals and yeah, you're welcome. So doing rituals and release work is a big part of what I do. And I feel like so often the core of what happens is a disconnection when we experience traumatic events, whether it's sexual assault or abuse or pregnancy loss. It could even be a termination, an abortion. It could be birth trauma. It could be a death of a baby right after it's born. We just become disconnected from ourselves and from our bodies because of that trauma. And so, again, a big part of what I do is helping women to come back into just releasing the energy that is stuck and helping them come back into their own body and really feeling connected to their body and to their inner knowing and their inner power, particularly with the womb space, because our womb space really is about creation, not just of a baby, but just so much of our creation energy and just our innate power, helping women to come back into that space. And so a lot of the work I do is helping women to just simply connect and be with that space, getting to know their body, getting to feel their body, to really embody their own physical body. And that really helps people to feel stronger and to trust their intuition so that they can move forward and take, whatever steps necessary for their self-healing.
Yeah, and I feel like we've just been talking about this today on with a friend. It's turning pain into power, and I feel like as well, it's helping women remember that obstacle or that traumatic event, whatever it is, you chose that before you reincarnated. Whoever's listening, whether you believe that or not, when you think of it that way, it really helps you to just be at peace and know that, okay, this obstacle, this traumatic event was put there by me because I had to grow. I had to learn something about myself. It may be because, like you, Elaine, you had to go through something so traumatic, and now it's your purpose to help women through that. So you chose that, to help you through it. And it for me, it really helps me. Like you said, it gives me clarity and it helps me just be at peace.
Right. And for me, I know that if I had not experienced that miscarriage, I would not be doing the work I'm doing now. And I would have never connected with my spirit baby, the baby that I lost, that showed me and helped me realize that that was his way of getting my attention to change the course of my life to be of service in the way that I am now. And again, none of that would have happened had I not had that miscarriage when I did.
Yeah, I just find it really powerful, and it's such a beautiful thing, though, if you think like you went through something so painful and traumatic, but then look now, you have a beautiful daughter and you're living in Maui, which I'm so jealous about. I can't wait to go there one day. And I remember reading something about I'm a real fan, huge fan of Wayne Dyer. And he spoke about something on one of his speaking events about children who, I can't remember what it was called, but he was starting to write children's books. And he was saying about how children remember their past lives. And a few women wrote in and had said that they lost a baby or their baby died really young. And then they had another child. And it's like the soul of the baby from the first miscarriage or the first baby had come back to the second baby because it remembered the name, it remembered events, it remembered like the mum crying. And I just, oh my God, I was so touched by that because I feel like, especially pre-7-year-olds, they are so switched on. They see the magic of life, and that, whether you've read that or you've heard about that, I really want to look into that because I just find it so fascinating.
Yeah, I have read about it, and I actually have experienced that with many of my clients that have had miscarriages and pregnancy losses, where that soul comes back. And, as a medium, I can speak with these spirit babies and relay information to the mom and let them know a little bit. Sometimes we receive more information about the pregnancy loss, but most of the time, it's a lot about what the soul needs to come back and what the soul wants to come back. And yes, I do see a lot of times that when there is a pregnancy loss, that soul does come back. There's also a really amazing book called Cosmic Cradle that is nothing but stories of children talking about their lives before, and also children talking about how they've chosen their parents and how they chose their parents. So that's a really interesting book if you or any of the listeners would like to look into that. I can't remember the author's name, but it's called Cosmic Cradle.
Yeah, I think Wayne had written someone very similar. I think it was called The Dream of Child. I can't remember the name of it, but I was just blown away with how beautiful that is, especially with how sad it is. And, I've had friends who have suffered from miscarriages, and I help them in just being a friend, and just letting them know that it wasn't their time and they chose to change their mind, or they weren't ready for this life. And I just have that, that peace about it. Like, God forbid it would happen to me, I would obviously, sit through that pain, and but I wouldn't sit and dwell on it. I wouldn't, a lot of people need people like you, Elaine, to pick them up when they're feeling that low energy and they feel really, in that, why me? Why my baby? And again, it's just that mindset shift. It's literally like a quantum leap of just looking at the fact that your baby chose to change its mind. And, there could be something different that had gone on, but to know that I just feel like it's so much clarity, and it's just a beautiful way of looking at life.
You're right. It really is. And it also brings a sense of peace for my clients once they're able to receive messages from that baby and understand a little bit more about that choice. And you're right, the choice of the baby. I feel like that is a big part of why things happen like that, particularly with pregnancy loss.
Yeah. So do you work around any other traumatic events, or is it just mostly miscarriages?
Well, pregnancy loss, infant death, abortion, and birth trauma. Those are the primary areas I work with.
Yeah, so I'm really intrigued to ask you, and I bet the listeners will be really intrigued. Where did your spiritual journey begin, and how did you end up in Maui?
Yeah, so it began, let's see, back when I was on my own self-healing journey. And then I started kinesiology school, and I learned about the emotional root causes of spiritual ailments. And that was when everything related to my pregnancy loss came to the surface for me to look at. And I was like, I felt amazing after I had such a profound release. I was like, oh my gosh, I have to help more women. So that's how I started by just helping women with pregnancy loss. And that, like I said, was right after kinesiology school. And from there, like I said, I was still on my path for self-healing. I went to see a hypnotherapist. And as I was working with the hypnotherapist, she said, I'm going to hand a rattle to you, and I would like to open sacred space. Just follow me and we'll open up the 4 directions. And at that time, I was like, okay, I didn't really understand what she meant. But I did. I just followed what she said. So she hands the rattle to me, and no joke, the moment she put the rattle in my hand, it was like an instant awakening. I was filled and overcome with so many memories of myself as a healer, as a shaman, as a medicine woman, as a priestess. Like, I knew that that was me and that I had done this before. And so I look at this woman and I just said, this is me, as I point to the rattle. And she said, yes. And so from there is when I began to study traditional Peruvian shamanism. I also studied with traditional Mexican healers. And with all of that, it was just so much of a remembering of what I've done before, and going through all of that traditional healing. Like I said, it just really helped open me up to really remember everything that I've done before. And so since then, I integrate the holistic kinesiology with the shamanic work and other energy healing technologies that I've learned since then to really provide this true holistic approach to fertility healing and pregnancy loss and all of those, I guess, kind of shadow side of motherhood, all of those areas that a lot of folks, don't talk about, the challenges to becoming a mom.
I was just smiling the whole time though, when you just remembered what you came here to do. I've just been speaking about this again today, about when people aren't living their purpose or their dharma, they are actually interrupting their own evolution. Like, you think about not just humans, but different animals, plants. When, if a whole species is wiped out, that in turn affects the species that ate them, the species that other species would eat. It's so crazy how everything that happens to us leads us on the path. But one thing I wanted to just mention, whether you work on this as well, Elaine, is people's resistance. I feel like a lot of resistance comes up for people because, like you said about the shadow self, there is a lot of egotistical people that now we are spiritually awakened and we've had the shift. I seem to see it a lot more. I can just be walking down the street and I can see so many people in ego, and it isn't that I'm judging them. It's just I can see the energy. It's like the Celestine prophecy. I watched the movie and I've read the book, and it, that teaches you how to see people's auras and their energy. And it just really, my heart just really goes out to those people who really don't want to work on their shadow self because of fear, or, they don't want to go to those really dark, deep places of themselves. But as well as I do, Elaine, those places comes the greatest awakenings and the greatest growth.
I agree. And like the greatest transformation is in those spaces, and just being able to be open to, look a little bit deeper and to go just a little bit deeper. And, it just takes a little bit of choice, right? We have to choose to go deeper, and then being open can create profound changes and transformations for people.
Yeah, that's why I love what you do, because it's like you stand in your truth, you're authentic, what you do is so unique, and that is what life is about. You all have, listening to this, a purpose, a dharma, you're all so unique. And it isn't about, what others are doing and what their purpose is or how much they've learned or, whatever that is. It's about not comparing yourself. It's about actually looking at who you are and the things you are here to do. And that's why I just love what you do, Elaine. It's just so unique and so special as well. Like, such a beautiful process that you help women with in something that, where they feel quite alone. because like you said, I've done a lot of womb breathing in meditation, and I'm just so in awe of myself. Like, I am a master creator of my own life, but I can create life and give life. It's just such an amazing feeling.
It really is. And yeah, I love helping women really connect into that space so they can really feel it. And I feel like, on the journey to motherhood, because there are so many challenges and trials on the way, that as we're able to really feel into that space and feel that potential, that really helps women to be in a space of trusting, and that trust helps them to overcome fear and anxiety, particularly when it comes to fertility and getting pregnant after a loss. So it's just such a powerful place that is often overlooked.
Do you find that a lot of your clients are single women as well that kind of don't have the male support with them?
I actually do have a couple of clients right now that I'm working with, and what we're doing is we're using the connection with the spirit baby to help manifest the father, the partner, right? Because the spirit baby already knows that he or she wants to come. And so we're like, all right, what is it that you need? Like, where's the dad? What do we need to call in that partner for
Oh, wow.
you to
Oh my
come in?
God, I love that. It's like
Yeah.
that's just amazing. Like, obviously I manifested my partner and he's just everything I ever wanted. But, women who are actually looking, it's so crazy. Like, you think, I've connected to my future daughter. She came to me in a meditation about 6 months ago, and oh wow, she is so beautiful. She's just like a mini me. And I'd already met Chris, so it kind of made sense. She's going to be called Belle, as you can imagine, because I'm a Disney fanatic and I love Beauty and the Beast. But if I was at that stage in my life where I wanted to attract my soulmate and my perfect partner, that would be where I'd go. I'd really want just my spirit baby to lead the way.
Yeah, it makes it so much easier and so much faster. And, it really does help to take a lot of the challenges out of the way, because we're working at a spiritual and soul level, does remove a lot of challenges in communication, relationships, even parenting, right? So looking at and healing the mother wound and the father wound, all of those things all get cleared up as we're working on just calling in the partner. So it's so much fun, so much magic that it's all incorporated into one.
So what's been probably one of your biggest wins with one of your clients? Like, is it a total manifestation from the spirit baby to then actually having the spirit baby be born? Is that kind of like the biggest win you've had?
Yeah, I feel like, there's one client that I have that I just love her story. She was told by doctors she had less than an 8% chance of getting pregnant. We connected with the spirit baby, and this client already has an older child. And so the older child was also resistant to having a sibling. And so what we did was not only connect with the spirit baby and got info to help the spirit baby come in, but we connected the sibling to the spirit baby. And it was almost like as soon as the sibling came to this space of being open for a little sibling to come in, that combination of involving the family really made a change. And then I think it was a month, maybe 2 months later, my client was pregnant. And yeah, it was so magical. So
It
beautiful.
sounds magical. It's like a fairy tale, like thinking it's like a woman's dream, which would be just incredible. But one thing I'm feeling drawn to ask you, Elaine, is what's one of the biggest challenges you've overcome? I know you've obviously gone through losing a baby, but apart from that, like what kind of challenges have come up for you in your spiritual journey and how you overcome them being a shaman?
Yeah, so I feel like moving to Maui has helped a lot with that. And I feel like, being here on the island, the energy is very different. The vibration is very high here. And that being said, like, you cannot hide anything at all. It will come up to you to be looked at almost immediately. And so challenges that I feel like is like I have to look at it quickly and right away, because I don't have a choice living here, right? Things move very fast being here. I mean, there's just something about living in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, being surrounded by water, that things just move and shift quickly. And so I feel like the biggest thing that I have learned, particularly over the last 2 years since I've moved here and lived here, is not being afraid to look at the challenges or the darker side of whatever is coming up, because as you look at that, like there really is so much potential in there, and not being afraid to look deeper at what is behind there. Just dissolving, because it really is, and you really can dissolve challenges and see what the root is behind it, and learn from that story that is behind it.
I love that. And the fact that you're in Maui and Hawaii as well reminds me of Moana, the Disney movie. I love Moana, and I feel like so connected to her because I love the ocean. And yeah, one thing I don't think I've ever told my listeners is the song that The Rock sings, You're Welcome. I literally know every single word, even the rap in the middle.
I love that. That is so fun.
Yeah, all the kids love it. They want me to sing it for them, and I'm like, okay, and I do video recordings. But yeah, I've definitely got a huge pull to Hawaii. I'd love to get married there one day, and I just love, like you said, the vibe pulls me there. And that's another thing as well, like throughout life you'll be pulled to certain places, to certain people, when you find connections like you and I have, Elaine, through social media, which is what I love social media for. And it's following those pulls, whenever you can follow that pull and that calling, it will lead you to places that you really didn't dream of, really. And you think you may have had a certain dream or a goal, but then actually you get there and you're like, wow, I didn't expect this. And in the midst of the journey, you may have learned something about yourself. You may have overcome a fear. You may have just reset a limiting belief. It literally could be anything. But then when you actually get to that destination, it isn't your final destination.
Exactly. And there's always so much more if you're open to it. And that is one of the things I love about living here is, I feel like once I feel like, okay, I am understanding what's going on in my life, and then something else comes up, or I just go to a different part of the island. Every little area of the island has its own energy. There are so many different beings in just different areas of the island, and I almost feel like, it's exciting because I never know who I'm going to meet or who I'm going to connect with when I go to the different parts of the island. There's so many beautiful beings that want to connect with us, that want to teach us and want us to connect with them. And so I'm just so grateful for this opportunity, because I really, if you were to ask me, 4 years ago, do you ever see yourself living on Maui? I would have been like, no. And here I am living here on this beautiful, magical space, living my dream. It's hard to call what I do work because I love it so much. And I just love sharing all of what I do and sharing the magic of Maui.
Yeah, and I know for sure that when I come to Maui, I'll be meeting you on one of the beaches somewhere, sipping a nice cocktail.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you, Elaine, for coming on and taking the time to chat to me today. I know the listeners will really find this episode so mind-blowing, because you don't come across people like you every day. Everyone's so unique, but what you do, Elaine, is so beautiful. And I just want to say that I'm really proud of you and what you've done and what you're doing for people. I just got so much love for what you do.
Thank you. And thank you for all your work. And Yeah, thank you. It's been so wonderful to get to know you, and I'm grateful for you and for you sharing not only your work, but the work of others as well. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Just let the listeners know before we finish where they can find you, Elaine, on social media.
Yeah, you can find me on social media. It's Elaine Lopez-Bogard, Fertility Shaman. And I have a Facebook group called Quantum Fertility Healing Circle. And my website is www.healingthewomb.com. I also have an amazing Spirit Baby meditation that is available, and you can find that off of my website.
Amazing. I will put all those links in the show notes so all the listeners can find you and connect with you. But thank you again, Elaine. It's been a pleasure chatting to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, guys. Wherever you are in the world, I always send love and light, and I hope you're having a beautiful day. Don't forget to leave me a 5-star rating, please, and share this with your friends. Tag me and Elaine when you're listening to this, and just send us a message. What was your biggest takeaway, what you really resonated with. And me and Elaine are both sending you love, light, and healing always. So bye for now, guys.
Bye.